We are It's Just a Hill, a cycling club that promotes inclusion, judgment-free, with no gatekeepers. Focused on creating content from behind the handlebars to in the studio, It's Just a Hill is producing videos and podcasts to spread the message that cycling is for everyone. We are focused on reminding everyone that riding your bike can help you overcome any obstacle, because after all, it's just a hill. Hi, everyone. John here. You are about to listen to the 24th episode of the It's Just a Hill cycling podcast. Unfortunately, there were some technical difficulties while recording via the internet with Kevin from Berkshire Velo. But just want to say thanks again to Kevin for lending us his time and being on the podcast and telling us about all the awesome things they're doing over at Berkshire Velo. Make sure to check them out on Bike Reg. Check out the Greylock Century Challenge, their spring gravel ride, their fall foliage gravel ride. And yeah, here's the show. Thanks. Hello and welcome to another episode of the It's Just a Hill cycling podcast. I am your host, John Stenning, and today I am joined by special guest, Kevin Delaney. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me, John.
No problem. Thank you. Kevin is part of Berkshire Velo, who if you've listened to this podcast ever before, you've heard us talk about them. It is my favorite cycling club that is not our cycling club. I've said that before. I have no shame saying that. Kevin, you guys put on my favorite event of the year, the Greylock Century Challenge. I just signed up for it.
Nice.
Yeah, Berkshire Velo. That's just like a local cycling club that you're involved with, right? Out of the Berkshires, which is a mountain range, right?
We got the hills out here, you know.
Yeah, it's a lot hillier there.
Western Mass, from the top of those hills, you can peer over and see New York State. So yeah we're out here.
Yeah. So we've talked about the Greylock Challenge a bunch. Have you ever ridden the Greylock Challenge yourself?
No.
I love that. I love that so much.
Everybody's like, oh, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? I don't know. I'm more mountain biking. You know, I don't really do too much road and avoid the climbs when I can. But
is there a story behind that event? You know, it's an event that we've talked about on this show a lot. That like the first year, I think 3 of us went. Last year, 5 of us went. This year, at least 4 of us are signed up, and hopefully more. Like, why do you? What's the story behind it, if there is one?
Well, it kind of gets to, some of the, part of the goal of Berkshire Velo in general, but more specifically the Century. I mean, I don't know all of the history and lore, but it's an event that's been put on for, some, off and on for some decades.
Oh, that's awesome.
My understanding, some local folks ran it. I think that NCC, the Northampton Cycling Club, ran it for a handful of years. And I believe that Han asked permission to the NCC if we could kind of take
to keep it going, right?
They hadn't done it in a couple of years. And, kind of the greater goals of the club is to, promote cycling in the Berkshires and put on events and get, local folks involved, get people from outside of our local community to the Berkshires to, ride the roads, the back roads, see all the great stuff.
Beautiful. It's like quintessential New England, like back roads, not sort of heavily trafficked, right? Farm roads that have since been paved. I mean, even though there's a couple of gravel sections on the Greylock Challenge. At least there was the first 2 years. Is there not this year? Is there a little bit of a change? Maybe I saw 100% paved on Ride with GPS. And I know there are other people involved here, right? You mentioned Han, whom I met at the event last year. Yep. I think Cal, who was with us, asked Han if he's ever done it before, and he was like, "No, I've never done this ride. Why would I do this?" Or something to that effect. Like,
Phil is, kind of our route master that
cool
sets up all the routes for our events. And I think that we're keeping things pretty much the same this year. I think there was that one climb coming off of Route 9 heading north.
That's just like a little gravel, but it's like, it's not It's a road. It's a road. It's
really
heavily
good care of
packed.
their roads.
Yeah, yeah,
Their roads
yeah, for
out
sure.
there. And then last year we took that section out, from the far side of Greylock after you get to the
Yes.
bottom, turn around and come back.
Right.
That just got wiped out. So
Right. I think we even bypassed that the first year that we did it too,
yeah,
because we didn't feel like going on something that was that far. But it's there's all different types of riding out there, right? There is the Greylock Century Challenge, which is primarily road, but you guys also hold some gravel routes, one in the fall and one in the spring, right? There's one coming up in April. Is that right?
Yeah. Let me refer to my little trip sheet here. I took some notes.
Yeah, of course.
With dates and all that, but
let's so real quick, let me give sort of a bigger picture of Berkshire Velo, right? So I went on, like you guys have a Facebook group, you have a bike reg where you can register with the group. So you guys are a volunteer run nonprofit cycling club with a mission to foster, encourage, and engage the community in athletics exercises by promoting the sport of cycling, developing and supporting group riding in the Berkshires, right? Like you said, promoting bike races and events, and educating and coaching bike riders of all abilities. So a big thing that you guys are involved with like us is you're just trying to get more people on bikes, right? And I think you support the youth cycling a lot in that area. There's a lot of like youth that were involved with the sort of the rest stops. I know that your son worked at one of them, and I've told you this before, and I've said this on the podcast before, but this is one of my favorite moments in cycling was as we were about to climb Greylock for the first time. He yelled to us, "Good luck, don't die," in like the voice of like a 12-year-old. And it was just truly the funniest, like most honest moment. Like he really felt for us, but also was like sort of laughing at us as we were about to endure this grueling climb. And it's so funny. It's so funny. So yeah, I'm sorry, I sort of cut you off. You're talking about the gravel grinder that you guys have coming up in April, right?
Yeah, it's the Berkshire Backroad gravel grinder. My notes are sloppy here, but coming up in the spring here. It's on Bike Reg.
It's on Bike Reg, right. Yep.
Yeah, we start out of West Stockbridge, beautiful corner of Massachusetts, right off the Mass Pike.
Oh, okay, cool.
Got a 40-mile ride, and then we have here we go. April 22nd.
Yeah, April 22nd, right? That's a Saturday from West Stockbridge. Yeah. There's a 39-mile loop. And like, and not to sort of like toot your horn here, but like the prices are always so reasonable. I think there's so many events that even I'm guilty of signing up for that had this like high price tag, but like $35 for this ride, or 60 or 65 for the Century Challenge, and like with like 6 rest stops that have like handmade sandwiches. And you asked us last year, you guys provided pickles last year, which I'm a huge pickle fan. And just like great, like just a great sense of community. And to me, that's what like cycling's all about, right? Like bringing people like us together and like sharing the stories. Yeah.
You guys touched on the cost of events in one of your previous podcasts, and I was listening, just nodding my head, and we, keeping it accessible. You think about $35. I mean, gosh, I was just looking at a running race, a 5K that's like $35 to run 3.2 miles or whatever.
Right.
We keep things pretty basic, but we have great fantastic aid station.
Oh, fantastic. Everyone is always like so friendly, and there's always like a different good spread. Like it's such a spread. I feel like every stop has like 5 to 10 different snacks, but each person sort of like curates their own stop, someone is like, oh, I'm going to do orange slices for this one. I'm going to do peanut butter and jelly slices for this one. And it's just like, oh man, it's so good. I just love it so much.
Yeah. And, we don't have a big marketing budget. We're not trying to be out there like we don't really want to be like a 600 participant event. When you get to a certain size, there's extra complications and everything.
Of course.
And it's really just me, myself, Ron, and Phil, like kind of the core running this, and we have some other folks that pitch in and help us run these events. But yeah, when you get to that big size, it's like it's like a second job running.
Yeah, and it can take the fun away from it. Takes or even just like the one-on-one sense of meeting people where it's almost like, and I say this often with cycling, herding cats. You're herding cats. It as someone that like sets up just casual group rides, it's sometimes you're just like, oh man, these people, but it's fun. It's fun. It's good. What exactly were we saying? Oh yeah. Talking about herding cats, I guess, a little bit, and like it being like a lot of people to deal with. Yeah. And it turns into a different event. It makes it a little bit like less fun or like less one-on-one, less personal in that regard. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like I'm fairly new to the gravel scene. I helped run a couple of our our gravel events, and I only did my first event last spring.
Oh, cool.
Toad Strangler just over the line in New York. Shout out to the CBRC club over there. They're great folks. They put on a lot of great events. They run an awesome cyclocross series in the fall.
Oh, cool.
They do super things to support.
Oh yeah, so that's in Chatham, New York, which is the same place that Farmer's Daughter takes place.
Yep, same folks. Yep.
Same folks. Oh, great. Yeah, so we're doing Farmer's Daughter this year. A few of us are. Toad Strangler, if anyone is looking at it, it's April 15th this year. In Chatham, New York. Yeah, that's cool. Are you doing that one again, or do you know?
Yeah, I signed up for that again. It's great, great event.
Yeah, that's cool.
I love the bikes, the people, the places you go. I don't think I recognize more than like.
So I guess we were just sort of talking about like how you were sort of new to gravel events. You were maybe like, you did the Toad Strangler? Is it
Strangler?
Toad Strangler. They're always such fun names.
Yeah.
And you're going to go back and do that again this year, right? And you guys are not only putting on that event in the spring, but you also have a fall foliage ride, which like sounds absolutely gorgeous out that way. I mean, I've ridden in Vermont in that time of year, and man, but like up in the mountains and stuff in the Berkshires, that must be awesome. Yeah.
We like nailed it last this past fall. It was like
with the timing. Yeah.
Weekend and like perfect weather, and it was great day.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah, I love that. That's to me like you're just like seeing stuff that you normally wouldn't see, whether or not like you're just driving through a town or it's a place that you've lived your whole life. Like there's parts of like Rhode Island and Southern New England that I'd never seen before I started like riding a bike, especially a gravel bike, because you're exploring like DEM areas or state parks or so it's really cool. Yeah.
That's why I enjoy it. And as I was mentioning, I love bikes. I'm kind of a bike nerd. Yeah. And just the variety of bikes at these events.
Honestly, that's one of the best parts. Yeah.
Got the latest and greatest carbon fiber, this and that.
Yep.
And road, same with road. Everybody's about the newest tech, and in the gravel scene, you got some like really cool bikes. I mean, like the new modern like carbon bikes, those are awesome. But then, these like crazy steel bike, a lot of petite brands.
Like X biking or people like using old mountain bike frames and like upcycling them and just like doing these really cool, neat, creative things. It seems to be a lot more about like, I mean, the spirit of gravel is a term that we've talked about on the show before. I don't really think it's real, but it seems a little bit more real when you talk about stuff like that, like when you talk about the bikes, right? Because roadies, as someone that rides their road bike all the time, so many roadies are just like so obsessed with like the best, fastest, but it's more than just the bike, it's the experience, it's the rider. It depends on what you're trying to get out of the ride, and I think there's a lot more just like genuine things happening in gravel events. I don't know. I hate to compare the two.
Yeah. I think, you kind of edited out of an event, and it's just a lot more welcoming, a lot more diverse. I mentioned like the people as well. Like I've never as many women as I have on bikes than I have in a gravel event.
Very true. Very true. Yep.
Like all ages, all abilities, all all types of people. It's awesome. That's the reason I love cycling. It brings a lot of different people together.
Yeah.
I've done in races, you get the kind of the same type of people.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
yeah,
like whatever. Travel is it's a fun casual scene, and I dig it.
Yeah, I agree. And so, like, speaking of getting a bunch of different people on bikes, something that you're involved with is youth cycling, right? So Berkshire Velo has their own CX youth team, but you're involved with that, but you're also a coach for in the New England youth cycling team. Is that right?
Yeah. Oh man, gosh, I could talk for hours about this alone. But yeah, I've been long time been wanting to start some sort of youth cycling team.
Yeah.
And had all sorts of different people trying to get somebody to come on board with me and looking at different avenues. And 5 years ago, stumbled upon you and the model fit.
Nice.
Started a team, and I jumped on it, and we started out with like 10 kids, and going into our 5th year here, probably going to have neighborhood of 25 kids on the team.
Wow, that's awesome.
We've expanded the number of teams. The league has, I think we're going to have about 33 teams this year. I think they're targeting maybe around 1,000 kids in the league.
Wow, that's awesome.
And man, it's not all about racing, but man, race is awesome.
Yeah.
And like, I've done a fair share of mountain bike races, and I've never been to a race as well run. And
interesting.
League races, like the banners and the inflatable like finish arch and everything, and there's 8 races throughout the day, kind of high school kids. So between 1 to 4 laps on the 3-ish mile course, there's a race for everybody, and from the it's all they can do to finish a 3.5 mile loop to these kids that will rip your freaking legs off.
Yeah, right.
It's awesome, man. It's just like a great environment for kids to learn the skills, make new friends, try a new sport. So it's just fantastic, and what the league is doing for the kids, and it's really awesome. I've just the difference that they make, the way that the league is run, and you can see the differences in the kids' lives too.
Yeah, sure.
They really to see them really like find cycling and really can take it on is like their sport. It's really awesome.
Yeah. Now, so someone like myself, or say someone that like didn't necessarily get involved in coaching, is there any way that people can help out in terms of like donating bikes or gear or anything, like to the league as a whole or to your team? Or because I'm sure, right, this is a lot of like volunteer time, and a lot of like, kids might not have a lot of money, and cycling is not, that cheap of a sport to get into. So how can someone help out with something like that?
Well, the league makes great efforts to have like no barrier. So if there's a need, if kid wants to do this, the league will provide them a bike.
Oh, that's awesome.
A loaner bike, and they can they can get scholarships to
very cool
league and race fees. And as far as like the donating of like bikes and gear and stuff, I mean, every runs their themselves, independent. They
right.
run the setup basically. Like myself, I love wrenching bikes.
Yeah.
And
I see you post about it on Facebook. Like you're putting things together for kids, or you're saying like, hey, can anyone, is it possible for me to like put this fork on this frame or whatever, right? So I feel like you're always tinkering like with something, which we'll get into something a little bit more specific in a bit, but whether it be your own bikes or the bikes of these kids, right? That's something that you enjoy too, right? Is playing like with bikes.
I picked up a lot of bikes, just I love that I got here, been able to piece things together to get kids, get them started, get them going. And if they, up in, size or abilities, it's, move on to the next thing. But that's one of the things that I enjoy doing. And
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, kind of in that, kind of is segue into like, accessibility of the sport. It's tough. I mean, I'd love to have a team that could take absolutely anybody and everybody out there that has a dream of riding, that wants to try it. But, it's tough in reality. I mean, here's people are that service, that want to do, and there's the trailhead, 20, 10 miles down the road, and if you have a car, if you don't have the means to get there, that's a barrier that unfortunately we're just not set up to address. But
it's bigger than just like any individual or any, it's sort of unfortunate, but it's like the sport as a whole, it is not the most accessible thing for anyone. Yeah, which is unfortunate. But I mean, I think clubs like yours and organizations like the Youth Cycling League is doing things to help tear down those barriers, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's not everything, but it's something. We gotta start.
Oh, for sure.
Something like a vehicle to make it, expand.
Yeah.
There. We're start somewhere.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, so we alluded to it a little bit earlier. You have this great system, but right behind you. But not only do you enjoy tinkering with bikes, but you've been making some bags lately. Now, you sent me sort of a prototype snack bag that, I mean, I love it. It hangs right from my stem. It fits my phone and my GoPro and some snacks perfectly. But what you've sort of recently got into this, right? And you're making more than just like little snack bags for your stem now. I've seen frame bags and saddle bags and a bunch of different designs you've been working on, and each one seems better than the last, Kevin. It seems like you're killing it. Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. So I'm a hands-on guy. I'm a mechanical engineer, working my hands and building stuff. Grew up doing carpentry, so working in wood. Kind of like had an itch to be creative and make things, and kind of looking around, seeing stuff, and see these bike bags, filling up the front triangle. It's like that doesn't fit the bike,
Yeah, right.
It's like you can't bag that doesn't fit your bike, but so I'm like, it's a long winter. I'm going to need something to do. And, found a sewing machine from, my friend's mom and started buying some materials and gave it a shot, I some old some old backpacks that a friend gave me.
Yeah.
And I think that my first.
That's awesome.
And just salvage parts, and kept going. Learn what to do, what not to do, what you can improve on, and started. That's another thing is I think I have a fabric problem now. Like,
what do you mean? You have like so much extra fabric?
No, you just like shopping.
Oh yeah, right. Because you're constantly spinning. The gears are constantly spinning now. I love that one. That fabric is awesome, dude. I love that one.
I saw this and I'm like, how can you not click buy?
Yeah, that is so cool.
So Phil has a bike bag problem. I borrowed a few from him to kind of model things off of, and this is a Roadrunner bags design. It's a little tool wrap.
That's awesome.
Folds
right up, pocket. Right? Put it in your pocket. Yeah.
Strap it under the seat if you need to, and hold your tube and bike levers and CO2s and stuff like that. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun.
Now the one that really sticks out to me is you had this one like really interesting. What was the shape? It was like a rear triangle on a frame that was like some like 90s frame or something that had this weird like triangle shape underneath the seat post, and you had this like template made out of like wood maybe and cardboard. That was one that was after you sent me the bag, and I was like, wow, this guy's really going in on this. Yeah, here's the prototype that you're showing me.
I couldn't quite figure out how to
fit it in.
Do an opening on the zipper thing, but my bike problem. I picked up an old like 90s Kona Jake the Snake cyclocross bike from a buddy thing into like a crazy like monster cross bike.
Cool.
Got tires on it and some like the low gear on it is like a 248 or something like that. I found some like wide range 8-speed cassette and cobbled their train together.
That's awesome.
It's a lot of fun. But,
that sounds like
fun. We got the stem bag in the
love the stem bag. Yep.
A little pocket on the side for holding your
nice. Yep, nice.
This little guy goes between the top tube and the seat tube.
Nice, very cool. Just like little frame. Little frame bags or like little. I mean, like I am. I think I was a little bit hesitant about putting bags on my bike at first, but then I got like my first handlebar bag, and I was like, no, I'm all in. And now I run a half frame bag on my gravel bike all the time. I always have a saddlebag on, like, so that like, or a bar bag on like a longer ride plus the saddlebag if you're trying to put extra snacks and stuff, like it's just great. It makes it, and not to mention like going bike packing and really going like all in and putting like 20 pounds worth of gear on your bike. There's a lot of in between, which I think is like really cool, and it makes for different types of riding. It's not just about like being super aero and going fast, but just like more of an adventure. Put some stuff on your bike, put a camera in one of those bags, or like some cookies and some coffee, and go and drink some coffee in the woods.
You cannot underestimate the accessibility of snacks on the bike.
Absolutely.
And spot to pick the wrapper and stuff like that instead of having to like dig through a chunky pocket and it's cool. I mean, like I spent last winter, on the trainer in the basement watching bike packing videos just like dreaming
cool.
of packing and all the gear and stuff like that. And just kind of like, I can make that. And, I don't know. Have you done any bike packing, like overnight stuff?
Yeah, we did. We did that gravel growler. Yep. And this year we're going to do something a little bit different, maybe up in New Hampshire, and then we might be attempting like the VTXL at some point too. But I just love bike packing because it sort of alleviates all other responsibilities, where you're really just like waking up to ride your bike. And I'm putting I legit putting like 20 pounds worth of gear on my bike with a half frame bag and a big saddle bag and a big out front pack, but that's that's everything that you need. That's like a tent and a mattress and all your clothes for a long weekend. And it's really freeing, and it's really fun because like out in Vermont in the fall, or like, even out in the Berkshires, it's just so beautiful out there. And you're in these remote places and you see these cool little towns and with a lot of character to them. I love it.
Yeah, I haven't done an overnighted, but it's kind of a feeling. I don't know if I do it solo, with a couple other people. I think I give it. Oh no, I've never really like done any, tent camping. So it's like buying all the gear and stuff like that.
Yeah, it is a lot of gear. And you're trying to get like sort of minimal tents, so it's not like the most involved setups. But even the second night of this last trip we took, we stayed in a church, so we just called it church because it was cold, so that was nice too. But
there's all sorts of different ways to do this.
Oh, for sure. So, Kevin, earlier we were talking about tinkering with bikes. I think one good way to sort of maybe get into, maybe working on your own bike a little bit might be wrapping your own bar tape. That is something that some people might have done at a bike shop or like when you get a new bike, but it's something that if you ride your bike a good amount, you might be switching it out on like your gravel bike or your road bike. So you recently put a post up on Facebook about wrapping your own bar tape, and it is a little bit trickier than one might think. Would you agree?
Yeah, practice makes perfect. Even myself, I maybe like once a year might get into wrapping bars, and like on the cross bike at the beginning of every season. And even at that, I sit there and I got the tape and I'm looking at the bike, and it takes a while to kind of remember how to do it.
Right. Yeah. You're taking it off in like a way that you're trying to like get tips from how you take it, and then you go to put it back on. You're like, wait, does it go under first? Does it go over first? Because you start from the bar end. You don't do it often enough for it to be like, like muscle memory.
Yeah.
At the same time, it seems like something that you're like, I don't need to like go to a bike shop to do this. Like I should just be able to do this. But there is a nuance to it. You don't want to stretch it too much. You don't want to overlap it too much. You don't want to overlap it too little, So yeah, what were some of the things? I'm going to bring up that post right now, but what are some of the things that come to mind when you think about that?
So, like I said, the more you do it, the more you kind of get into it. Like some of the things that I think about when I'm wrapping the bars, and things that kind of come to mind over the years, like back in college when I got into riding drop bar bikes. I was I was like a mountain biker,
right.
And the guys were like, one thing they said was to wrap the bars in a direction where when you're kind of like wrenching on the bars, you're tightening the tape.
Right, not loosening. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, from the looking at the ends of the drops, it's wrapping towards the inside.
Right.
So when you come up around the lever, it's wrapping towards you. So when you're kind of like cranking on the bars, it's tightening the tape.
Yeah.
And starting getting a good start at the end of the drop.
Yeah.
good loop, and there's all sorts of different things. I mean, the end caps. There's some end caps that don't require you to tuck the end of the tape in.
Right.
So you can just start square or cut them square on the end. And
I've always dealt with the ones where you're folding in, and then if you overlap them too much or too little, sometimes the bar plug isn't like fully grasping it. It's it's not good, because then it comes loose there. It might come loose there.
Most tape, that it has adhesive on it, but it's not like the end of the world. You can unwrap it and do it a few times until you get it right. And getting a good wrap around the levers is really nice. Like, just like everything with bikes, there's tons of great YouTube tutorials.
Oh, for sure.
But then, everyone does it just a little bit different.
Right. Well, especially around the hoods, right? Because some people will go up and then back under and then back up, so you don't have that gap in between the hood itself. But so consistency and of wrap distance. So like the different, like the gap in the overlap is also, you want that to remain consistent. It is quite nuanced. Now, do you like a cushy bar tape, or do you like something that's a little bit more thin where you can feel the bars a little bit more? I like a cushy bar tape myself.
Yeah, myself as well. I get numb hands on the bike
too sometimes. Yeah.
And I haven't dove deep into the bike fit stuff to see if that might be part of the issue, but I don't know. Like, I like a good cushy tape, and like coming around the after the lever, that outside turn where it comes around, like getting a nice wrap there, and then where it ends at the end, getting a nice finish on that there.
So that the line is straight. Like you have to trim it like on a sort of the hypotenuse of a triangle almost, right? So then when it lines up with the end of the straight edge, then the tape that, like the actual tape that's included with the bar tape, whether it's like that physique finish tape or like the Supercars tape. Yeah.
See, I've got one of my things is I get this anxiety every time I'm wrapping tape. I always feel like I'm not going to have enough. Because
me too. I'm overlapping too much.
Yeah, I think that they're putting more tape in these days, but I just have done wrap jobs, and I get to the end, and I got like this much left, and I'm like, man, if I'd done the figure eight, I wouldn't have had enough tape, and I'd be
Now, so this figure eight is something that I've never heard of before today. Actually, I asked our WhatsApp group and the IJAH War Room text chat, and Noah, who works at Mythic Bikes, who sponsors us and has been on the podcast before, he mentioned the figure eight. So I looked it up. I've never heard of this figure eight method before. It does seem to use more tape. You would agree?
Yeah, I personally have not wrapped a bar like that yet. One person that I talked to about this was he doesn't like it because it adds more bulk around
the hoods. Yeah,
around the hoods.
Yeah.
It seems like older, like mechanical mechanical levers,
like group sets. Yep.
Yeah, there's less bulk, but some of the hydraulic ones now, like
some of them are huge. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you add another 4 millimeters to that with 2 wraps of tape or whatever. It's gonna get.
It's like thick and bulky. Yeah.
Yeah,
that is a good point. Some hoods are like, I had like Shimano GRX mechanical hydraulic in the hood on my Salsa. The hoods were huge. They're just just like a very different size. So I guess wrapping those would be different than wrapping the other. Someone also mentioned, Johnny M mentioned that he just puts like an extra layer right there. Like, I think he does the regular, he doesn't do the figure eight, but he does put an extra layer underneath right around the hoods to give him some more of that cushion. Like someone else mentioned that they tried to use hockey stick tape. This was Matt Steinkamp. He tried to use for weight savings. He's like, it's not worth it. It's not. I can't imagine that. That seems like it'd be nothing around bars.
I think we're very fortunate now. Like, it seems like, that you talk to like old school roadies and stuff. And I think that the tape that was around back then was not much more than that, like hockey tape,
Right. Thin, very thin. You were feeling the alloy bars and like the cables that ran,
So one of my buddies that works at a local shop picked up on this, and we got chatting about it. And I think we're going to put together a tech night at his shop.
Cool.
So, it's springtime. Everybody's pulling their bikes out. Everybody's looking at that bar tape, like maybe run a special on bar tape that night and show everybody how to do it, and give them a chance to get in there and wrap their own bars and with somebody helping them, kind of looking over their shoulder, and then maybe cap off the night with a bar wrap competition.
Yeah, I like how you said a rap battle. I like that. It should be a rap battle. Yeah,
rap battle.
Yeah, it's a rap battle. I love that. Yeah,
this whole thing got in my head. A friend of mine posted something on social media that caught my eye. And it was like the old Yo MTV Raps logo.
Yeah,
and she lives outside, kind of down towards New York City, and it was like a Yo NYC Raps, WRAPS, like a rap competition at a bike shop. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. I'm like,
that's great, especially if you can like take into account like colors and how well it matches like the rest of the frame. Like. Yeah, there's a lot of like cool bar tapes out there too, and like with a lot of fun colors.
I did the bars on my cross bike this year, blue on one side, green on the other. The Berkshire
Velo. Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's a great idea. I know some people are like have hard and fast rules, like they think that the bar tape needs to like match the saddle. I remember one time I bought a secondhand bike, and it came with like Chinelli cork bar tape. And it looked like a cork board, but it didn't match my saddle. And someone was like, "Your handlebar tape is supposed to match your saddle." I'm like, okay. I didn't like that bar tape though; it was really way too soft. I think it was supposed to be very light, but I'm not trying to save grams on my bar tape necessarily.
More often than not, my bar tape matches my wallet. As in, I
yes, yeah, that's true. There's and I like the Supercos stuff. I think you can get it for about $20 a roll, but there's some stuff out there that is more expensive. But there's also some that you can get for like $7 a roll, especially if you're not trying to get too fancy with it. And it might not last as long, but there's different ways of like cleaning them out, and it really depends on like how you ride your bike too, or your hand positioning.
Lizard skins
is good. Yeah.
That was good. Good cushion, good grip, lasted a good time. And I think that the talk about old school roadies, like the white bar tape. That's like it's kind of like a flex in the cyclocross world. Like if you got white bar tape on your cyclocross bike and you're keeping it clean, that's kind of
I haven't cleaned much bar tape, but that was another thing that Noah mentioned. He's like a clean toothbrush and a mixture of warm water, baking soda, and vinegar for cleaning dirty bar tape. I usually find like I'm like wearing like holes in my bar tape before. I usually run like black bar tape with a little bit of like maybe a black color with like white stars on it, or like an oil slick stars. That's sort of my vibe, is black bar tape with. But I guess if you're white bar tape is a flex now that you mention it, especially on a cross bike or like a dirty gravel bike with just
keep it clean.
White, clean bar tape. Yeah. That's great. Well, Kevin, thank you so much. This has been great talking with you. We don't get to see each other that often because we don't live near each other. It'd be great to like ride together more. Maybe we'll set up a bike packing trip together somewhere in between here and where you are.
Give me an excuse to do it,
Yeah, there's a nice little loop in Brattleboro, Vermont that's on bikepacking.com. I'll share that with you. We'll talk about setting that up. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And, if you're into the Vermont XL, man, and that starts kind of in my backyard, in Pownell, Vermont.
Oh. And, so I think we're going to do it from north to south.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. But, I mean, I would, I'll let you know, because that's pretty much, I'm pretty sure we're going to do it. The logistics of, getting a ride to the top, keeping cars at the bottom is something that we've been talking about and trying to figure out a little bit. But Yeah, I mean, that route looks awesome. And a lot of that stuff on bikepacking.com, that's where I found that Brattleboro one too.
Yeah.
Which seems neat. I think it's like a 150-mile loop. You know, some people do it in 2 or 3 days. And
yeah,
I mean, a lot of fun. Looks like fun. Because you can just bike pack from your backyard, you know?
Yeah. I mean, like Joe Cruz that puts together a lot down there. He's a local guy. He's
cool.
Williamstown. He's a teacher up at Williams College, I believe.
Cool.
But he's a good dude.
Nice.
Yeah. Hey, want to do a quick shout out here. Friends of ours at the you guys went over Mount Greylock. On the eastern face of Greylock in the Adams side. There's a really awesome network of mountain bike trails that have literally carved out of the mountain by hand by a group called the Thunderbolt Ski Runners. Well, the Thunderbolt's a like legendary backcountry like downhill ski run from the top of Greylock down into Adams, down to Glen. And so these folks, they maintain the Thunderbolt Trail and also a network of mountain bike trails. And anyway, they do. Last year, they started a fundraiser ride called the Greylock Go Around. It's on Bike Reg already. September 30th.
Yeah, I can share all the links to this too, you know, in like the YouTube description. So these links will be down below if you're watching this video or
Yeah, and that's it would be fun on a skinny tire bike. It has been done.
I like this.
Skinny tires with push cores. I've heard it has been done. But it's
skinny tires with cush core.
Yeah. You know, mountain bike is probably a solid bet, but where's the challenge in that? This is some mountain bike trails, some probably more hiking trails, a little bit of asphalt, but just like a real challenge kind of ride. There might be some hike a bike kind of stuff like that, like a real adventure kind of event.
That sounds cool. That's the Greylock Go Around, you said?
Yep. Greylock Go Around. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
thank you, Kevin. So Greylock Go Around, Berkshire Velo, you can sign up. You can be like a member of the club. It's a very reasonable fee, like $25 a year or something, right? That supports the club, supports youth cycling. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to plug before you get out of here? I'm looking forward to, riding out there in June and seeing you then. But this has been great.
Thanks for all the support and all the shout outs over the
thank you.
We really appreciate it. This is why we do this, to share the love here, get more folks out riding and, really enjoy that people like our events.
Yeah, no, thank you. I really I have no idea how we came across the event, but it is a challenge. It's one of the hardest rides I do every year. And I think some people are like, it's something that they'll do like once, but no, I will do it every year. I get the chance to do it. And because it really is, it's like it's not a race, right? It's just an event and it's so much fun. And it really it's super accomplishing. I mean, to pat myself on the back, but I ride my bike a lot, and that ride it's like top 5 rides every single year. Makes me feel so good, and everyone is so cool. So yeah. Thank you so much, Kevin.
All right, thanks, John. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Talk to you soon. Bye. That's it for this episode. Thanks again to Kevin from Berkshire Velo for joining us. Make sure you can check them out on the internet for their upcoming rides. They're on Bike Reg. Their links are below in the YouTube video. Thank you, Kevin, for joining us. And you can see us at the Greylock Century Challenge on June 17th out of Pittsfield, Mass.
Join us for the ride. Registration is still open. It's a very reasonable price, well-supported ride. Also, if you want to join our WhatsApp group, that link is in the description of this YouTube video as well. You can weigh in on topics from upcoming episodes of the podcast, or just hear about rides that we're doing. That's where we share our scheduled rides, or sometimes people are just like, hey, I'm trying to ride today at noon or whatever. So you can check that out there. The link is also in our YouTube description. If you're listening to this on a podcasting platform, you can head over to itsjustahill.com, where all those links will also be available, or follow us on Instagram, all those other good places, our Facebook group. We share sort of all these things everywhere. So yeah, shout out to Kevin, and shout out to our WhatsApp group for being involved in this episode once again. I'd also like to take a minute to talk about our sponsors. We have A Guy and His Pie. You can find them on Instagram and aguyandhispie.com. Great Detroit style pizza. And then there's other little goodies too they have there. I saw some Brian was cooking up some olive cake recently. It looks great. Check them out. They're in Pawtucket. You order online, set up your pickup time, and it's great pizza. It's great recovery fuel, if you will. Also, like to shout out Bomb Burritos and Wings out of Westerly, Rhode Island. They're right on Dunn's Corner in Westerly. They recently opened up the wing side of things, and you can check them out on Instagram, and they have a website as well. And can't forget everyone's favorite, Pepperidge Farm, because Pepperidge Farm remembers. Head out to your local grocery store, pick up some Pepperidge Farm bread. That's right. We are sponsored by Pepperidge Farm. It is not a bit. My brother runs a Pepperidge Farm route. My dad partly owns it still. I don't know. Business with family is complicated, and I try to stay out of it. And our bike shop sponsor, Mythic Bike Works out of Peacedale, Rhode Island. They're located right off the South County Bike Path in Peacedale, and they're in the midst of putting the finishing touches on the Peacedale Ramp Room, which is just up the street from the bike shop. So check that out. Also on Instagram and online. If you've ridden with us, you've seen their logos on the back of our jerseys. So yeah, check them out. Thanks again for listening, and see you on the next one.
Decaf left, regular right. Decaf left, regular right. It's very challenging work.